What up, fish friends? Is buying a used aquarium worth your time? In my opinion, yes. Today I'm going to be going over how to set up a really cheap used aquarium. Going to be starting off with this top fin, and over the next few weeks, I'll be setting up these fluval specs, I think they're called. And Henry's going to be helping me out. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do with the used tank is clean it out. With the tank being cleaned out, it's time to rummage through my wood pile and find one or two nice chunks of wood that's going to cover the length of the tank. You might be wondering why I have so much wood piled up here. That's because I'm a hoarder. Also, I collect it myself. When I'm out hiking and I see a cool branch, I throw it on my backpack and bring it home. Most of this is pine and spruce, which is just fine to use in a tank as long as there's no mold on it or fungus, anything like that. It should be dried out. Got some cool chunks of wood pulled out here, some prospective candidates, if you will. It's nice to have, a few options to kind of mess around with, like I'll be putting some stones in there and piling the wood on top of it to see if I can get a nice look. And if for whatever reason this piece of wood doesn't match the rocks that I have, then I move on to the next one. Not a big deal. Another reason that I like to collect it myself is so that I have this option. If I had bought it, I'd be like I'm kind of stingy. If I bought it, I would use it even if it looked like garbage in my tank. So just have a mess around, stick the rock in there first, then the wood, change the angle around. You want it to look nice. It doesn't have to look like the most natural thing in the world. It can if you want to, but ultimately this is your tank and you want it to be like something fun that you're going to enjoy looking at for however long you have the tank set up for. So yeah, I'm just moving this stuff around until I find the perfect match. If you are collecting your own rocks like me, it's a good idea to monitor your pH, GH, and KH over the course of a week. Write them all down in the beginning when you fill up the tank. You can also throw them in a bucket ahead of time. And that's actually the safest way, because then you know that the soil or wood or anything else isn't impacting water parameters. And then, wait a week, test your pH, GH, KH again. If those have risen, then you likely have some sort of limestone or sandstone too, I think. But those can alter pH. It might not be the end of the world if it's just a small shift or if you do enough water changes to offset it. But if you're planning on just leaving your tank as like a ecosystem tank, and the stone's just leaching a ton of minerals into the water, that might be bad for your fish. Also depends on what type you have. This is all I'm going to be using for the Hardscape. I'm keeping it nice and simple for the first of the 3 use tank series. And they'll progressively get a little harder. If you want to learn more hardscaping tricks, tips and tricks and stuff, then follow along there. But it's important that we attach the wood to the rocks, because wood floats when you fill the tank with water. I'm going to use the paper towel and super glue trick, the tried and true method. Very simple. All you do is wedge some paper towel in between the wood and the rock at some contact points, douse it down with liquid super glue, see a little bit of steam coming off of it. That's a sign that the chemical reaction is taking place, and the paper towel goes rock solid, holding the wood to the rock. And then when you fill your tank, the wood doesn't float and rip up everything around it. Every live plant needs light and some sort of nutrition. I'm going to be putting in soil in the aquarium. I'm using soil that's been produced for aquariums, planted aquarium soil. It's called, basically comes in little pellets. It's volcanic minerals that have been squished together. If you are on a budget, you can find some used soil online. That's actually what I'm going to be using today. Someone gave me a ton of it, so I've just been going through that slowly. You can also literally take dirt from outside. Reason I'm not a big fan of that is because it gets messy. Even when you cap it with sand, I know some people have a lot of luck with it, and I used to use that back in the day, like 15 years ago, before all these products were really accessible and you could just order it off Amazon and stuff. I would take sphagnum peat moss from Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever, put it under the tank, cap it with sand. But today I'll be using that stuff I was talking about, putting it in a mesh bag and then capping it with sand because the sand looks good. So over here, I already got this stuff bagged up. This is like a plastic Ziploc or plastic mesh bag that won't rust up, that's intended for aquarium use. You look inside there, it's just those soil pellets I was talking about. So let me get this better angle so you can see what's going on. We'll be looking at the tank from the front. We want to have plants all along the back, so naturally we need soil there. Plants need some sort of nutrition, and I'm just gonna dump it like that. Pretty easy. And that might actually be too much. Let me have a look from the front. Oh no, that's good. And just got some play sand there. It's really cheap. And I'll just be dumping it in the tank. Now it's time to add some details to this tank like I talked about before. This is a beginner level tank, so we're not going to do anything crazy. Literally, all I'm going to do is throw some pebbles down there that match these two big rocks, and that'll help tie things together. Right now, there's just kind of a lot of empty space, you know, like a white canvas, basically. You want to add a couple elements here and there to fill things in. It'll just help give it a lot more natural look instead of being this really synthetic vibe that we have right now. Really don't beat yourself up and go crazy over this stage. Some people really think about all the details, and that's fine if you want to do that, but you can also just start with some bigger rocks and you know, scatter some smaller ones around it. Kind of think about a creek bed. Tend to see some spots where lots of rocks build up and then some open areas. I always like to do that. Now for my favorite part of any planted tank, the plants. So I got a bunch of plant clippings from tanks around my house. Again, if you're wanting to save money, I would hop on Facebook Marketplace or join some local like aquarium groups online. People will even give away clippings for free. I got a few types of plants here, some rotalas, maybe 2 species, a few different varieties, some pearlweed, and some Hygrophila angustifolia rubra. They're really all going to be in that back part where that soil is. Since pearlweed is super durable, I'm going to kind of plant it out there a little bit as well so it can just spread its roots back in. There are a couple of tools that come in handy when you're planting some forceps like this. These are, you know, designed just for that, planting an aquarium. And then these metal clips here, you can wrap them around the plant base and in spots where I'm going to be shoving a lot of plants in a tiny area. There's not that much sand to bury them in. It'll help to weigh them down, and then they'll set roots on their own. And, you know, we don't need anything that's going to be towering too much. You can measure it up against the tank like that, and then just use your fingers, clip it at the base. And then I'm going to pull some of these leaves off along the bottom because they're just going to be in the sand. And looks like I just chopped up this. Okay, so we got another one here. Just pull the leaves off, hopefully without mangling the stem. It's not that hard. I just have gorilla hands sometimes. There we go. Pulled those leaves off so they won't rot when they're under the sand. And I'm just going to start in the back left corner, take the plant by the base like that, and shove it in sand. Pretty easy. Again, by the base, and shove it in the sand. Cool. Now, for something like this big bundle, I just mentioned these. Oh, and these are roots, by the way. These are ready to get in that soil. So I'm just going to wrap it up at the very bottom like this. Not too tight, but it is fairly tight. And then use my hand and get it in there. Been about 1 week since setting this tank up, and things are looking pretty good. The plants are growing. I can tell they're losing a little bit of color, but still seem pretty happy. It's a weak light, so wasn't really expecting a ton of reds. I did rig up a little DIY CO2 system. Check out this video if you want to learn how to do that. It's about 20 bucks and not that hard. There you have it. Nice little $20 tank with a $20 addition of CO2. Let me know if you have any questions about the process. Leave a comment if you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, see ya.